are Thanksgiving, a celebration that Americans go nuts for, and it leaves the rest of the world, myself included, wondering what all of the fuss is about. And yet at the same time, we're secretly envious that you guys have a pre-Christmas excuse to binge eat, drink like fish, and laze around all day in preparation for doing it all again in a few weeks' time. Years ago, my old housemate was from Minnesota, and so I do have kind of an idea about what all of this is about, but like other YouTube idiots, I'm going to base today's video off the most stereotypical drivel that movies have been feeding my fragile little mind for years now. So for today's video, let's take a look at my 5 picks on Nintendo 64 to help get you through Thanksgiving surrounded by relatives while still being able to get some game time and not be called the social outcast of the family. As always, if you want a full review of any of today's videos, then head on down to the description box where I'll hook you up. And for today's topic of conversation in the comment section, I want to know what your family's unusual Thanksgiving traditions are. Let the games begin. South Park was a 1998 multi-platform release which was critically panned, was clearly pushed out the week before Christmas on N64 to cash in on those all-important Christmas present sales, and was in fact described as terrible by Matt Stone and Trey Parker. They felt it was so bad that despite having a franchise which was prime for video games, they refused to make another game until they could get full control, which happened over a decade later. So why on earth is South Park the first game I'm recommending today? Well, if there's one thing that comes to mind when I think about Americans celebrating Thanksgiving, it's turkeys. You can't seem to get enough turkey, and so I thought I would just test how much you love turkeys and how much you can handle in this game. Perhaps what's most ingrained in gamers' minds when they played the game was the horrific amounts of turkeys the first part of the game contained. The sound of turkeys wobbling as wave after wave, swarm after swarm rushes to you is unforgettable, and not in a good way. It seems that as soon as you'd clear one off screen, you turn a corner and lo and behold another herd of these bothersome birds were on their way at you. It made progressing through South Park feel more like playing a 3D version of Space Invaders, with its developer, Acclaim, seemingly intent on filling your face with turkeys on an endless all-you-can-eat buffet-style affair. Thankfully though, despite overall having big flaws, it's the personalities of the characters which shine through. Whack this cart into your N64 console and be treated to the profanity-ridden dialogue by the cast of friends, which will let you relive those childhood memories and most likely offend anyone that you've invited over. They'll then leave, absolutely disgusted that you could play such filth, and then your home is your own castle once more to go back and play something more fun on your Xbox Series X. And you'll thank me for this later. If the aforementioned trick doesn't work and your guests haven't abandoned your palace of profanity, then I guess you're going to have to try and make them feel welcomed. So get the keg cooled down, get those oversized jerseys on, and get around the console for a couple of games of NFL Blitz, because if you have nothing else to talk about, then football is the universal language. And for everybody outside of America, I do sincerely apologise for calling it football, when we all know the real football is what they call soccer, but I digress. This arcade action-packed smashfest is the perfect party game for sports fans this Thanksgiving. The controls are easy to pick up and play, so if you have that uncle who tells you that they used to be a gamer back in the 90s, then this is your opportunity to beat the piss out of them. It's not just football fans who will enjoy this one. In the same way that NBA Jam can be played and understood by most people, NFL Blitz is great to be played 2v2. So even if you're paired with your great aunt who thinks that video games are a waste of time, and you should still be able to get some level of a performance out of her. If not, then you can always elbow drop her after the whistle's blown for some divine retribution. There's 4 different NFL Blitz games on the console. I'm showing off NFL Blitz 2000 here in the footage, but pick whichever version you want. I don't care, it's not my party. But whatever version you pick, then it should let you keep on gaming until your mother's breasts and thighs are ready for you to get your gob around. They're parts of the turkeys, you absolute cretins. Thanksgiving wouldn't be Thanksgiving without giving thanks and also remembering the history of your native land. Any good trip down in the history books should tell you of a time when Tal Set, the Native American hero known as Turok, rid America of all of those pesky Triceratops and T-Rex, which allowed the settlers to live in peace and harmony with their new surroundings. So by giving thanks, you'll also be giving thanks to the only dinosaur you have to contend with this Thanksgiving is your great grandpa, who's probably spent the past 2 hours telling you about his long overdue hip operation. Developed by Iguana and published by Acclaim in 1997, this first-person shooter truly was mind-blowing for its time. Not only for its next-gen visuals, violent gameplay, and breathing new life into the comic book series, but for its eye-watering launch price of $80 US, 70 British pounds, or 130 Aussie dollars. And you complain about the price of a new FIFA every year. Thankfully now it's cheap as chips to pick up, and whether you're playing Turok 1, Seeds of Evil or Shadow of Oblivion, you're getting to experience the console's maximum level tribute to the heroic indigenous people. Well, aside from Joseph Fireseed from Turok 3, because he was a bit of a gimpy lad, so just maybe forget about him. If you have one of those relatives that looks down on retro gaming, then you could always play the remasters. Turok 2 was particularly awesome, or if you get tired of them calling you a loner, then by all means fire up Turok Rage Wars and freely put them in their place. What family gathering would be complete without a big argument? Half of your relatives are likely half drunk by lunchtime, and the other half are probably riddled with stress and anxiety after having looked forward to the big day and don't want anything to ruin their chance of one day's peace and happiness with everybody getting together and just not falling out. So why not stoke that fire to really get the atmosphere cooking with a couple of rounds of Mario Party 1? If you're going to destroy your family, you may as well destroy your controllers and your relatives' palms at the same time, right? This multiplayer masterpiece can get everyone away from the Monopoly board at the table to huddled around your TV screen quite easily. Sure, the colours are bright and attractive, this is a Nintendo family game after all, but we all know what lurks beneath that glamorous exterior. It's a game of greed, deceit, stealing from your family, ganging up on the weakest link, and doing all you can to get that W, even if that includes throwing your relatives off the cliff. Use your extensive skills of wielding the N64 controller for years, and watch as they fumble around with the three-pronged pad, trying and struggling to figure out how to hold it, getting enraged that the analog stick isn't half as accurate as their PlayStation 5 pad, and blaming everyone and attacking them for their pathetic 0-star finish to the game. And when you hear those excuses, you can be the smartass who offers to bring out Mario Party Superstars for your Nintendo Switch and still kick all of their candy arses. And finally, when all hope is lost and you can't avoid engaging with all those old gits who've been sleeping in their armchair for 90% of the day, then it's time to pull out the big guns. Let's be honest, they'd probably spend all year, all day watching reruns of the show anyway, and so you can just stick in Jeopardy that you've picked up for like $1 in the bargain bin of your local flea market, and it'll be the best dollar that you've ever spent. Rejoice in hearing them tell you how handsome Alex Trebek was back in the day. Watch on in awe that they're the only ones in the room who can answer some of the game's absolutely ridiculously hard questions that nobody else has a clue about, and let your ears be tantalised by hearing 9 times in a row that they don't make game shows like they used to. But Jeopardy is also a hidden weapon. Set the game off on the computer controlled players only, and well, with how bad Grandpa's eyesight is, he's probably going to not be able to tell the difference, and so you can silently slip away for that all important afternoon nap whilst they're content watching the hours of their life slip away. So there you have it, that's my guide to surviving Thanksgiving, and if you have any recommendations for your fellow N64 gamers, then let's hear your tips in the comment section down below. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time.